substantial enough that the village is able to send some of that to pay for public safety and all the other stuff that needs to happen.
Okay, so it sounds to me like we're generally in agreement that we want to budget in some kind of specific way. Different ideas about, you know, what we're looking at with these events, but I mean, really, this doesn't have to be decided today. So I think that we've got some action items to come back with, and at some point, as we get up to the budget, this would probably, in my mind, be part of like the first work session or something, right? Where we've got that list, we've got maybe historically what we've spent, and then we make some decisions around that for the budget. So I don't know, we really need to.
Kevin, did you?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm in mid-June.
Okay, all right, so then let's talk about boards and commissions, and as I mentioned before, Matt's here also, if folks have questions about, you know, the process or anything like that. So, you know, I started again to make a list of commissions that, you know, traditionally have requested funding, right? So we've got the Public Art and Culture Commission, we've got the Environmental Commission, we've got HRC. Am I missing any? So,
Active transportation, I mean, we haven't passed that.
You should get it.
what's that?
That's grant driven, right? And they're
Yeah, I
following-
mean, I think maybe I don't see it at this point, but maybe in the future.
I think like a parking lot, like as there's special request.
Yeah, I can see that we are, we were talking about maybe what do you call it?
Door knocker.
On doors.
Yeah.
About various things, so,
Okay.
but we haven't made any budget requests.
But you're a manager's advisory group, so it just goes right that direction. It's not a.
So we, just trying to think of something else. If we, last farm, you know, environmental assessments and whatnot, that if, you know, there was talk about that, and trying to figure out what the soil is, like, and there was money would have needed to be spent, would that have been, you know, some additional funding, or is that from a particular commission?
That was Environmental Commission, right?
We
Well,
put that in the council commission. Yeah, so we have.
soil borings
We haven't opened that yet.
that have been done, or it's not done through the environment.
1 week.
Also, removing riprap, which has been listed under environmental commission, should not be under that. But the request, and actually the request for wetland delineation, I don't even know if that would be under the environmental commission.
I'm looking where we put that, I thought we put that under council commission.
At
Oh, no,
one
no,
point, I had
the
asked
motion
for
that
$3,000 a year for
Yes.
the environmental commission for 5 years, so that we have 12,000. That was before you came on, and I never could figure out whether that money was in.
So what are we saying then? Where is the glass farm stuff coming from?
It's in council commissions, 1010, I think it's under
The
professional
riprap
services.
should not be environmental.
We
It should be under parks and recs.
you know, at the council meeting, we said we were gonna take that out of there, we did. So the updated report.
Well,
was not happening.
that's, it shouldn't be though, because it doesn't have anything to do with the conservation easement. It was, the riprap was put in place by the village to create that stormwater detention area. So really, I think should either be under stormwater or parks and,
Yeah, so we don't have a stormwater fund. So,
No.
yeah, we took it out of, we put the expense back in the administration budget. Yeah, so we took care of that.
Okay. So that's not,
Yeah, that's not in your updated report, we moved that expense back to administration.
But Mayor, is your concern that it was the environmental commission that you were thinking that it would belong to, it belongs to another commission?
no, I don't think removing riprap belongs to any commission because it's
Okay.
not.
Riprap, it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
What I think we're talking about is the delineation plan, the wetland delineation plan. The motion was put in the council commission's budget. It hasn't been set aside in the council commission budget. So I think there was the motion was 15,000 from Laura, you added 3,000, so for 18,000. So in the 3,000 was for a conservation development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
So that hasn't been, if you look at your report of money set aside from the council commissions, that hasn't been factored in. One, because, Laura isn't on council anymore. So I don't know if there's a champion for that, or is that same
Yep.
level
Well,
of
we'll-
interest?
Well, we'll be talking about that later.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not clear whether it's a priority for all of council or not anymore, so, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. The other thing that came as a budget request to council for commission's budget was the presentation from the environmental commission that included a total of $7,000 of requests.
7,500.
Money hasn't been set aside. We have some, I'm in disagreement about the entire amount being approved at council when it was presented, so that's something that maybe we can work through this approval at a later time, or figure out what that is. Because if that is the case, that certainly also reduces your overall council commission budget.
So I think part of why we're talking about boards and commissions is, again, this sort of concern around first come, first serve, and, if somebody comes with a later request, that there won't be funds there. I think Environmental Commission and PACC have been good about, on the front end, making their request, and then council talks about that, approves it, sets it aside. I think in the past, when HRC has been more active, that commission has done that as well. So, I mean, we could think about a couple things here. One is, do we reserve a certain amount and, sort of equally for all commissions, and then, again, be open to additional asks depending on how the budget goes? Do we maintain the status quo of how we have done it? And again, I'll just reemphasize that since I've been on council, I have not seen us ever completely use our budget. So, yeah, so I don't know what other thoughts there are. Yeah.
I'll just say, I like the idea of making these both sort of similar, where there's sort of a set amount, and then we have an ad hoc, there's a leftover, another amount that's ad hoc, just like we were talking about with events. That seems like, and it's good to know this isn't actually an issue, like we're not like running over budget.
Right.
But just having some uniformity, seems like it makes sense.
Well, when you say uniformity, do you mean having the pot divided equally amongst each commission, or, which is a thing, but when you think historically, this commission does this much, this does that much, and, there's some commissions that don't do much on a regular basis, but I would say at least get the pot the right size, whether it's evenly divided or not, but everyone sort of has an idea of what you might need, and oh, by the way, HRC, and I use no disrespect, the usual suspects, if you will. There's a lot of HRC things that haven't happened since the pandemic. Because there's a lot of school-related events that typically would have come through HRC that we hadn't seen them for 3 years. But they will start coming back. Girls Night Out, where they changed it to.
Trip to Washington.
Trips, there's lots of little things. Should say there's a lot of various things that used to be pretty regular that we've forgotten about. So I think, right side of the pot, done. Whether it's evenly divided or, 3 commissions take it all and the other just didn't have any requests, so be it. I think, again, getting the pot the right size was critical. And trying to remember some of those things that are probably gonna come up this year that we haven't seen for a while.
Carter?
Just, so I guess my question then from that goes, I don't wanna say a use it or lose it thing, but how does that look? So if one commission just doesn't use the money, and there's another commission that has money, that has funding available to it, once that amount is set, what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good point, because this came up with the HRC when I was the liaison. And, there was this idea of, if we don't spend that budget completely, then that's gonna reflect on future decisions, the council makes. And I think arguably, I mean, people had different opinions about what we did that year, which was, what was left over, we put all in the pot for the DC trip. And some people thought that was a good idea, some people thought, you know, we shouldn't be scrambling to spend it all just because we've got it.
Right.
So I mean, I think that's an important issue to bring up. So,
Yeah, I think it happened while I was.
yeah, probably did, yeah.
And it was, yeah, put all the rest of it there, even though I don't think it met their request, but that was all we had. We emptied the coffers. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been 2 times where we've emptied the coffer. One was for the Whitney Gaunt statue. And we were able to do that because we were able to fulfill the senior center request through the carriage money. So that freed up commission funds, and then we put everything in the Whitney Gaunt statue.
But I don't think I'm wrong that while the perception is that that pot has never run out, money has been pulled from other places to make sure that that pot did not run out. So in terms of accuracy, $25,000, no.
It
You've
does.
gone well over that amount on a regular basis, and it's gotten pulled from other places. So to me, that's what we're trying to avoid here. So don't misperceive that that's just, hey, that amount, we never run out, because you do. Then more money is found. But
Yeah, that's true. The senior center request would have been one. The wayfinding signs by the chamber was another request that was meant to be a council commission expenditure that we found money for elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you know, my statement is around the specific events and commission activities we funded, but I do agree, when new things have come up, we try to make those happen if they make sense.
Now, the other thing
I'm
about
sorry.
that is that I know from my time here, there's been sort of handshake agreements about how the allocations work, and not necessarily written on paper, like HRC. I remember one time Kevin and Lisa saying, okay, HRC takes 5,000,
Arts Commission.
Arts Commission take 5,000, and when Arts Commission was getting pretty close to the 5,000, like, hey, Kevin, you can pitch in, half and half from HRC, and so there were, the liaisons kept some control over, or had really good control of what's going out and how their allocations were being worked out.
Right, and that's why I'm focusing more on the size of the pot as opposed to the different lanes. You know, because it is, somebody said it's all one pot at the end of the day. You know, but we just want to get the right size pot so that we aren't stuck at the end of the year. And I can't recall, I do recall the breaks we've gotten, the CARES Act and other sources of funding coming in to contribute to what we want to do. But that history should teach us, okay, it's not 25. Yeah.
So I'm cool with basically what's being said about one pot and a certain amount, a base amount maybe for each commission. I also suggest that we ask all of the commissions, whether it's in December or January or February, whatever, submit your budget request,
Yeah,
which will
anticipated.
force the commission to look ahead, and maybe, things will always come up maybe, but if all commissions submit a budget request at the same time, then that gives us a chance to look and see, so that maybe one commission's gonna spend $10,000 and they have it all planned and the other isn't, and you can work it out then, in the beginning.
And why wait until January?
Well, I wasn't suggesting it, I said it could be December,
Okay.
or could be, well, waiting until January is helpful, because at the end of the year, you're just getting done, and then in January, when you have your retreat usually, then you're planning for that year.
And would it be possible, from your all's perspective, to do it in the context of the budget at the end of the year? To come with those projects for the following year?
December is a month when we have, it's so much happening in December. I think it's hard for a volunteer group to be thinking all the way through the next year, and you're just finishing up.
Well, you guys,
I mean, if we had that full amount, say we have 25 or 30,000, we're going to set aside, or we could do, you could do maybe a preliminary guess.
Yeah, the only downside I was thinking is
there's
that
something
you may have an allocation limitation where you historically done 20, and this year we did 42,000, or sorry, 41,000 for council commission budget is the largest set aside that I have seen during my time here. What if you can't continue to do 40,000, you go back to 20 or 25,000, but you get all of these requests that exceed 25,000? Then you're left with a political situation where you might have to increase the funds, and you may not have. Well, if you set the money aside, then you know the cap.
Will you ask, I mean, the way it's working now is kind of staggered. That boards and commissions report out January, February, March generally, depending on how ready you are. And that's when council hears, oh, these are your plans for